Growing up, I was led to believe that I could maintain my academic record, exercise, spend time with my family and friends, socialise, pursue hobbies, travel, sleep 8 hours a night. Oh, and obviously squeezing working as a doctor full-time as well. Breaking news, I definitely don't and never have. When I list it all like that, it seems incredibly obvious that there's no way I could do all of those things at the same time, yet it's one of the most frequently asked questions I get, both online and offline. And when I see the things I share online, or what people might know about me on a surface level, I can totally see why they would ask me that. And what's more, for pretty much my whole life, I thought that everyone else, from what I could see of them, were somehow managing to achieve it all, and I kept wondering why it was only me who couldn't. I've been trying to keep all cylinders fired at full capacity for pretty much my whole life, and then punishing myself or getting frustrated or completely burning out when I drop one of the juggling balls or smash one of the spinning plates, or whatever metaphor you want to describe the kind of life that I think a lot of us are trying to manage and achieve these days. It's only very recently that I've realized that A, it is not possible to have this kind of mass juggling life that society or the internet leads us to believe is possible, but most importantly, B, I've realized that that is absolutely okay. Realizing both of these things has been incredibly freeing for me, and I thought I'd share some absolutely life-changing thoughts that I've come across that have helped me undo these really unhelpful beliefs that I've strongly held my whole life about how much I should be achieving and what my output should look like. Number 1, confront your finite life. I think one of the reasons that I want to do or do so many different things is that I'm under this illusion that time is absolutely limitless, and so I just keep stuffing more and more things into it, thinking that there will be enough room for it all. I've got dreams of being an expert in the speciality that I pick in medicine, but at the same time I also want to master video editing and being a content creator. I want to complete traveling the world, but I also want to have a routine where I'm regularly eating and exercising well to be my best athletic self. Clearly this makes absolutely no logical sense and makes me sound completely deluded, but I think the reason I think like this, and probably a lot of other people do as well, is because the reality is very painful to confront. 4,000 weeks. That is on average all that we have on this earth if we're lucky enough to live the average sort of 80-year human lifespan. A number that Oliver Berkman described in his book 4,000 Weeks as absurdly, terrifyingly, and insultingly short. But what I absolutely love about this book, that it takes our absolutely certain mortality and helps you reframe your life and the choices you make with so much simplicity. Firstly, he stated the very simple fact that yes, you will miss out. It's extremely simple. If you are doing something here, I'm currently filming this video right now, for example, then you cannot possibly be somewhere else doing something else. So there's no way I can use this time to go to the gym or spend time with my family or do anything else for that matter. I am right here in this moment. It is simple opportunity cost, but I think it's something that we all slightly forget a lot of the time, and that kind of brews this anxiety of, if I'm here, should I be somewhere else, should I be doing something else, and is this the best use of my time? Once you truly understand that you're guaranteed to miss out on almost every experience the world has to offer, the fact that there are so many you still haven't experienced stops feeling like a problem. Secondly, and this is the key part, as well as understanding that you are currently missing out on things that you could be doing right this moment currently as you watch this video, you need to not only not get frustrated and accept this, but also find joy in that. Oliver Berkman literally calls the joy of missing out. The thrilling recognition that you wouldn't even really want to be able to do everything, since if you didn't have to decide what to miss out on, your choices couldn't truly mean anything. So now when I'm on my way to a hospital shift and resenting being at work again because I know it means I don't have time to socialize or edit a video, for example, I have to flip it around and remind myself that because things are being sacrificed as a result of going to this hospital shift, for example, that means that that experience holds a lot of meaning because other things have been sacrificed as a result. So instead of saying I have to go to work, I have to order this x-ray, I flip that and think that I get to go to work. I get to use this moment to order this x-ray. And that leads me to the third thing. Not only are we constantly deciding what to favor and what to experience based on our values and priorities at the time, in the expense of losing out on other things, you also just have to take a step back and realize that you have been given this time to do stuff with. Why treat 4,000 weeks as a very small number because it's so tiny compared with infinity, rather than treating it as a huge number because it's so many more weeks than if you had never been born? And while that seems and is very existential and anxiety inducing, which is not needed for someone who can self-induce anxiety with no problem, I actually find it very relieving, and it kind of just takes the pressure off and reminds me not to take myself so seriously. Number 2, screw consistency. For the longest time, I've believed that consistency is the only way to achieve anything or to make sustainable improvements in multiple things at once. I even wrote a newsletter about it, which, surprise, surprise, is one of the least consistent things in my life. I've seen all the equations, I've seen the 1% improvement graphs. When I have tried and completely failed to apply it to my own life, I felt completely miserable that I'm never going to progress in anything the way that you're meant to. The thing is, that advice doesn't work that way for everyone. There are times when you are full of energy or really open to tackling a certain project or challenge. There are other times where your interests take you somewhere else and you're feeling uninspired or a bit depleted, and trying to fall back on this consistency thing, which wasn't really coupled with my motivation or energy levels, I found extremely draining. And on top of that, I felt very guilty from deviating away from the consistency I said I would manage and having periods of rest. A big example is this YouTube channel. I have lost count of the number of times I've told myself I'll post consistently and then force myself to create and film or script write when I'm not really feeling it, and then not being happy with my work, and then the consistency falling away, and then getting frustrated with all of that, and rinse and repeat multiple times basically. That is until I discovered there were other anti-consistency people like me, namely Elizabeth Phillips, whose YouTube channel I've mentioned on my channel a few times. She's done a whole video and a book as well about what she calls to be passion-driven people, who instead of regular amounts of measured work, rely on sudden bursts of energy and passion to fuel intense periods of work, followed by intense periods of rest afterward. In other words, our way of working is to fall behind. So if there's a deadline approaching, there is no way I'll ever do anything about it until it gets to pretty much crunch time and there's no choice but to. Then comes the catch up. So I will never ever miss a deadline, although I will be crying my way to the finish line as I try and cram everything towards the end. I will get the work done, but yeah, it will be pretty intense and a pretty short-lived period of work. And then crucially, after that, you go ahead, aka ride that wave of passion or energy that you've ignited in yourself and take it beyond even what you need to do. So when I was doing essays for a diploma in medical education, I would absolutely leave the essays until right at the end, or moments before the deadline was actually due. But then I would spend way too long kind of deep diving into things, reading every theory, creating my own theories, and kind of putting them all into this essay, and then getting marks that were kind of above the standard that was expected in that essay. I'm very aware that I'm really nerding out right now and probably not coming across too greatly, but this is genuinely how I've been working my whole life, and I've been trying to fight it for so long and work in a more measured or sustainable way that society tells us we should be, and trying to say that next time I'll be more organized, next time I will pace myself, and it never ever happens, and I've always felt awful about it until now. I've now realized that the thought of working consistently at something and only doing a little bit each time is something that really bores me. It kind of diminishes any spark or interest that I had in that thing in the first place, because I know that I will never kind of be able to get into that deep dive flow state of work where you're there for hours and hours working out one thing, then another thing, then another thing, and emerging, exhausted, maybe a day later or something, ready for complete rest and not to even touch that thing again. Elizabeth has aptly labeled that way of working as organized chaos, and it might sound like your nightmare, but for me it's extremely relatable and very reassuring that progress can look a different way to what everyone tells us it should look like. And for me, it's really taken the pressure off trying to do everything at once. And finally, embrace mediocrity. Life has always excited me. I am fascinated by all the things that we can learn and experience, and I can honestly say that I'm never really bored. I was one of those kids that dabbled in the piano, violin, sitar, ballet, Indian classical dancing, martial arts. Yes, I was that kid. But what haunted me growing up and well into adulthood too is that I was just okay at all of these things, and I wasn't the best or anywhere near the best in any of them. And this drove me crazy. You know that phrase, being a jack of all trades and master of none? I very much knew I was a jack of all trades and desperately wished I could be a master of just at least one. However, then I realized that we're not all meant to be masters. In fact, almost none of us are. This isn't what the media and the internet will lead you to believe, as our screens are flooded with elite athletes, celebrities, world stars, filling our screens at all times and showing us the extraordinary all around us. And of course there is a place for these individuals who are a master of their art, but that is absolutely not the majority of us. I really loved this Mark Manson post in defense of being average. To become truly great at something, you have to dedicate time and energy to it. And because we all have limited time and energy, few of us ever become truly exceptional at more than one thing, if anything at all. Even as recently as over the past year, I have been adamant that I would be the strongest I've ever been in the gym, whilst also taking off every few weeks or so on a holiday to see more of Australia. I was absolutely convinced that I would have a consistent YouTube schedule, while also working full-time as a doctor and wanting to maintain a social life as well. With every one of these life categories not living up to my insane expectations, I just grew more and more disappointed and frustrated. Now I've realized that I can't possibly have it all to the extreme standards that I've set myself, and that my energy and physical, mental, emotional availability towards certain things will just ebb and flow as my lifestyle and my circumstances change. But fundamentally, I've accepted that I will be average or below average at pretty much everything that I do. And that is totally okay. And that has honestly taken so much pressure off, stopped me feeling consistently inadequate, and just let me enjoy what I'm doing for what it actually is, rather than for the expectations that I've set myself. One place that I can always turn to dabble in skills that have captured my interest at that moment is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can learn all sorts of creative skills from any one of their thousands of classes. One thing I love about the platform is that you're not locking into one kind of masterclass or one course about something specific. It's one subscription for such a variety of skills. And for someone who is constantly looking to explore all the things life has to offer, this kind of platform is perfect for me. Recently, I somehow found myself watching this flower arranging course by Denise Porcaro because my wedding is coming up and florists are extremely expensive, so get ready for some DIY flower arrangements coming to a wedding near you very soon. There's tons of other classes to choose from, in website design to embroidery to productivity. There really is something for everyone, and I've personally got so much value from my membership over the last year or so. The best thing is that you can too, because Skillshare have given me a code that I can share with you in the description box below, which gives you a 1 month totally free trial of Skillshare for yourself. So go ahead and click on that link. It is the perfect investment in yourself and you've literally got nothing to lose. I really hope you check them out and enjoy the classes as much as I do. So if you are someone who wants to have it all and are wondering why you're the only one who doesn't have their life put together, don't worry, none of us do, and that is exactly the way it's meant to be.